This past weekend, full disclosure, we did go and see a movie that contributed to this box office. We went and saw Death on the Nile. The review is up here on our YouTube channel. And Miracle was a meh about the movie.
Yeah.
Brian, who went with us, was meh about the movie. I was more supportive as a fan of both Kenneth Branagh and anything that isn't big budget blockbuster superhero movies. I'm always happy to see something a little bit different show up, which is always helpful to me. At least, it gives us something different to talk about.
Yeah.
But the numbers don't really bear it out the same way, though. The movie we saw, Death on the Nile, which was stars Kenneth Branagh as Hercule Poirot, or Hercule Poirot if you're from America, and then Gal Gadot, and then it also had Armie Hammer and a bunch of other. It had Letitia Wright, a whole bunch of people. And it did win for the weekend. And so this is from Box Office Pro. And it says, as it does every year, the Super Bowl, it says weekend estimates. Death on the Nile, 12.8 million, floats to number one. Opening over Super Bowl weekend ahead of Marry Me at 8 million and Blacklight at just 3.6 million. So it says, as it does every year, the Super Bowl depresses turnout at the North American box office this weekend, despite a slew of new wide releases hitting theaters, including Disney Fox's Death on the Nile, Universal's Marry Me, and Briarcliff Entertainment's Blacklight. Of these, Nile finished at the top of the heap with an estimated 12.8 million at 3,280 locations, while Marry Me saw middling results and Blacklight stumbled out of the gate. And that is, if it's 3.6 million, that is actually a big stumble for a star as big as Liam Neeson really is.
Yeah.
It says... a follow-up to the 2017 Murder on the Orient Express, which opened to 28.7 million and finished with 107.3 million domestic and 353 million global from a $55 million budget. Nile saw the return of director and star Kenneth Branagh, while boasting an almost entirely new cast, including Gal Gadot, Armie Hammer, Annette Bening, and Sophie Okonedo, and they left out Letitia Wright there. You'd think they would have mentioned her. Relative to its hit predecessor, it's difficult to spin the Nile's opening as anything but a disappointment, with the obvious caveat being that the older female demo that made up a significant portion of Orient Express's audience remains more cautious than most about returning to theaters amidst the ongoing pandemic. Yeah, it's a lot harder sell to get the older demographic of women out, given everything that is going on, whatever you feel about how governments are handling the pandemic or how it's being handled at theaters. Like I said, we went, there was mask mandates in place and everything where we were. Whatever you think about that, when it comes down to brass tacks and numbers, this is a movie that seemed to, because it's an Agatha Christie murder mystery, it's the female demographic is supposed to skew high here, and the numbers just don't bear that out. And also, this movie had a much higher budget than the previous one did, not to mention a bunch of kind of problems with it regarding the fact that it's been delayed like 3 separate times. This was supposed to come out pre-pandemic, if I recall correctly. And it says, it's worth mentioning that Death on the Nile is also a lesser-known IP from the Orient Express, and in fact, it may also have been lost on more casual moviegoers that this film is even a sequel to Orient Express at all. Those who did turn out seem to be enjoying the film about as much as its predecessor, awarding it a B cinema score. Its post-track rating, meanwhile, is a 3.5 out of 5 stars. That seems about right. For when you really think about it, I'd say like you and Brian give it like a 2.5. I give it like a 4. Like a 3.75, and that ends up somewhere at about 3.5, right?
Yeah.
That seems about right. And it's at 65% on Rotten Tomatoes, but just a tad bit more than Orient Express, which had about the same exact rating. The budget, however, was about $90 million, which is a much, as opposed to the $55 million budget from the previous one, much harder sell. Means like that's about $145 million all in with marketing, and probably more than that if you count the fact that it's been delayed several times, so they've had to market it several times over. I don't think this movie will make its money back. I really don't. Or at least I don't think it's going to become profitable. Maybe it makes its money back in like day and date release, or not day and date, with like PVOD releases later on. Like I said, that older demographic that didn't want to go out to the theaters, they may be more amenable to the idea of buying it through, I guess it would be Disney Plus if they did like a special, like the pay VOD on there. Maybe they'd be more inclined to do that. But it says it took in about $20.7 million from the overseas territories, including $2.5 million in Russia, 2.4 in the UK, 2.1 in each in Italy and France. I really would have expected this movie to do better overseas, given that Kenneth Branagh's from the UK. It's based on Agatha Christie. It's not an American-made movie, per se.
Well, also because, as you said, like, not a lot of older people are a little bit hesitant to leave the
to
house.
go to the theaters. Yeah, they're not really into the idea of maybe putting themselves at risk. Whatever your thoughts are on that. It says dropping one spot to the second place in its sophomore frame was Jackass Forever, which dipped 65% to an estimated 8.5 million. 65% is a pretty hefty drop. That's a pretty big one to overcome. I can't remember. I think I read a couple of like predictions. I watch a lot of these prediction videos for stuff like that, and they were saying about like a 45 to 50% drop. So that's even farther than people thought. Probably had right here. It says likely because the Super Bowl dominated the attention of franchises' core male fan base. A lot of people are staying home and saving their money. Whether that's because they're buying food and everything so that they can have their holiday parties, or they're going to bars to watch the game. They're just not going to the movie theaters this weekend. Marry Me debuted in third place with an estimated $8 million from 3,642 locations, which is an okay result for the Jennifer Lopez, Owen Wilson rom-com. There it is, Owen Wilson with the comeback lately. The film was budgeted to be about $23 million. Its theatrical performance, which predictably affected by the Universal's title's day-and-date release model on Peacock streaming service, as well continued reluctance. It says as well as the continued reluctance of adult women to return to the multiplex. Despite that, the debut of J-Lo's latest is still a notch above her last entry in the rom-com genre, which was 2018's Second Act, which opened to $6.4 million in 2018. So this is pretty good when you consider that it's like far different. People are going to the theaters far less, and it made more money than her last one did. So that's pretty good. And then I just wanted to, the other one I wanted to talk about was, Spider-Man No Way Home, bringing in another $7.15 million, bringing its total to $759 million total at the domestic box office, which means like by Monday or Tuesday, it will surpass Avatar for third highest grossing domestic movie of all time. Though it should be known that is not adjusted for inflation. So if we were to adjust for inflation, I think Avatar would still have it beat by a significant amount. But that means it also brought in another $11 million at the international box office, bringing its total all in to $1.804 billion. I don't think it's going to make $2 billion, which is kind of sad, but it's damn close.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't in week 9 already, I'd say maybe it has a shot, but who knows? Like, what's that? That's 20 million more it would have to make. Is there a way they could do that? Maybe release it again with because they keep touting like 100 minutes of special edition footage. Like maybe tout like a version where you can go to the theaters and see it with all the bonus stuff at the end. I bet you they could pull that 20 million in.
I think they would.
That would be really interesting if they could find a way to.
If people are listening who work at the movie industry, you could do that.
Yep. Find a way to release it in theaters with the bonus features. Give people an incentive so you can get there and get to that $2 billion mark. Not a lot of movies have made it there. And then the other film I wanted to talk about was Blacklight, which I saw some excitement from. Maybe it's just because I'm a dude and my friends are dudes. They love the idea of the Liam Neeson had his hits with Taken, with the 3 Taken movies, with the daughter that's about 35 going on, but portrays a 16-year-old. And then also he had a good movie last year called Honest Thief that got really, like I saw several reviews that really liked that movie for what it was. Especially during the middle of the pandemic. That might have actually been late 2020. People were starved for media, and a lot of theaters were a lot of media companies were just getting rid of these titles that might have gone to limited release theaters and putting them on streaming services, and that was one of the better ones, was Honest Thief. It says this is a low point for Liam Neeson in the action thriller genre, more than a decade after he rebranded himself as the revenge-fueled tough guy with the Taken series. It didn't help that the core fan base of the film, again, adult males, are likely wrapped up in going to watch the Super Bowl this weekend, and they just couldn't be bothered to go and watch another movie like that. So Sing 2 brought in another $2.5 million, bringing its estimated domestic box office to $143.39 million, so that's not bad at all. And poor Moonfall, which debuted with only $9.87 million, only brought in $2.85 million, which is like a 71% decline. That just makes me sad.
Yeah.
For a movie that I loved for as bad as it was I loved it. So like I said, this is a weekend with a lot of like heavy drop-offs. If you look, Marry Me, not Marry Me, Jackass Forever drops off 65%, Moonfall drops off 71%, Kingsman drops off 65%, Redeeming Love, like a lot of those movies, mainly Kingsman, they were holding well with like minimal drop-offs, 25 to 40% drops, which can be significant but are not insurmountable. So it's a bummer to see. I'm hoping that maybe because the Super Bowl was this weekend, maybe Blacklight and Jackass Forever trend back upward and don't have as heavy a drop-offs next weekend because people are back at the theaters. I don't think Death on the Nile is helped by that at all, especially since next weekend we are going to get a couple of bigger at least one big release that we're going to see, and that is the release of Uncharted starring Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, which I do think will do quite well.
It will.
From what I've read, I've accidentally gotten caught up in some reviews saying it's like almost non-stop action the whole time, which guys are gonna love. I also want to find time to go see Dog. Miracle has no interest in going and seeing Dog. I want to go see Dog a little bit. I think it looks pretty good.
But Dog or Uncharted?
Well, we're gonna go see Uncharted, but if maybe like we have those like vouchers that we got for the movie being late last time, maybe I go use my voucher ticket to go see Dog.
Okay, we'll tell Brian that we're gonna watch it so we can get rid of it.
So I kind of want to see. I think it looks charming. That's the best way to put it. It looks charming to me.
It's a wholesome story about a guy saving this dog who's a military dog.
Yes. So my hope is that that movie, I get a chance to see that. Maybe if not, then see it when I'm sure that'll do well on streaming too once it comes out, right? So that might not be one people want to go see in theaters, but it might do better once it comes out to like in your house and you can watch it with your family.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how that one goes. Are you excited for out of all the movies we've got coming out in the next 2 weeks? We've got Uncharted, and then after that we've got, I believe, nothing until the beginning of May of March, which is when we start with the Batman. The Batman comes out on the 4th, which we're very excited about, or at least I'm very, very excited, and other people are just excited.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Is there anything else you're looking forward to?
I'm looking at the list right now.
Is there anything I'm missing from next week? Or the next 2 weeks? I don't think I see anything. I don't know what Desperate Hour is.
I just read the synopsis for it. I knew you didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
but basically, it's a mom. She's recently widowed, and she has to save her son.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Perfect. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.